MGF Custom / Reviews.
What's up guys, it's Michael MGF, and I'm back for yet another custom LEGO minifigure showcase video. Today I have two brand new clone troopers from the upcoming season of Star Wars The Clone Wars, and here they are, Clone Commando Gregor and Commander Thorn. They actually have not been in an episode yet, but they have been revealed in trailers and will be in Star Wars The Clone Wars on September 29th at 9:30 a.m. when it premieres on Cartoon Network. I am talking really fast, oh my god. But some good news for those of you out there who have wanted to pick up one of my custom clones and have one physically. I do have an extra Commander Thorn on my eBay page up right now. Link will be in the description below if you want to go for it. But this is definitely not something I do all the time. I didn't want to keep Thorn from you because he's definitely pretty awesome and he's going to be a pretty badass commander. So if you'd like, you can check that link out. It will be the first link in the description below. So, stuff. Anyway, I only have one extra Thorn on eBay, and Gregor I do not, because Gregor, he's actually quite an extensive clone trooper to make, because he has all the little tally marks, the blue visor, the extensive painted arms, and all the battle damage, and the digital camo. He's just a really involved figure to make, but Thorn was a little easier, so I figured I'd be able to put together an extra one, and I did prevail, and yeah, I just want to clarify that. But anyway, now that I'm done with that, let's move on to the actual figures and give you guys a closer look. So we're going to start off with Clone Commando Gregor, and boy am I glad that Clone Commandos are back in the Clone Wars, and I think Gregor is definitely pretty awesome. However, I do think that the tally marks all over his helmet are a little bit overwhelming and could have been left out. But I mean, they're not that bad, they eventually grow on you. But as you can see, he does feature 22 tally mark sets to be exact. They're not like, you know, full 5s each, but they are all tally mark sets. I guess you can consider them that, but it's pretty hard to paint, you know, 5 tallies on each little line. But anyway, you can see I used 2 different shades of blue for his visor, and basically everything on this figure, every marking you see, all the yellow is all not designed, but painted by me. Speaking of designs, JPO97 Studios designed the torso decal and the leg decals, as you can see there. And I did actually add some weathering on top of the decals to basically make the figure fully flow and make him look like the commando he is. And then his arms are painted accurately, and I think that they turned out really awesome, and I'm really glad I was able to stay on the accurate side and keep all that detail in the arms, and I think it turned out really, really nice with all the different shapes and everything, all the yellow. I just think it turned out really nice, and especially how clean the paint job is on the arms. I really think it turned out very nice. And then you can see the backpack there. It does feature a good amount of digital camo and weathering. This figure, he's very interesting. He features like first a coating of battle damage and then digital camo to go on top of it. But the digital camo is only featured a little bit on his arms, on the back of his helmet, a little bit on the front of his helmet, and on his backpack. And you can see the digital camo, like for example, there it is right there on the back. You can see it all right there. Basically, I did make it very visible because if you do actually look at the preview that was released at Celebration 6, the digital camo is actually very visible when you do get a good look at the back of his helmet. And then he also has the yellow wrapped around wrapped around his visor. And then basically what's really cool is how JPO designed a totally new template for the Commando, and I think it definitely looks very, very awesome. And yeah, he does feature a standard clone head, but I did actually paint the neck black so that when you put on his helmet and, you know, look at him from like an angle like that, you don't see flesh, you see black, because really you don't really see flesh when you see, like, when for example, when a clone has his helmet on, you don't see flesh, you see their, you know, their whole, you see their neck, which is covered in their black jumpsuit. But anyway, he does feature a standard Little Arm Shop DC-17 Commando Blaster. I will eventually probably upgrade it to a Clonery Customs variant, but for now, this is all I've got, and I think it definitely works for now. But anyway, there is my Clone Commando Gregor. I think he turned out really, really awesome, and yeah, so without further ado, let's go ahead and move on to Thorn. So now we have Commander Thorn, and Commander Thorn is actually a very interesting commander, and I think he'll definitely be a very interesting commander when he's in Season 5. What's cool about him is that he's actually inspired off of Thor from the Avengers, and basically Dave Filoni took it upon himself to make kind of like a tribute to the Avengers by making a clone trooper based off of his favorite Avenger, Thor. And basically you see the resemblance, Thorn, and Thorn, the actual clone commander, named his minigun Hammer, just like Thor's hammer. So I think this clone trooper is basically a big thank you to, just a big tribute to Joss Whedon and his cast for making the Avengers. So definitely a pretty cool thing from Dave Filoni. But unfortunately, if you look at the trailer of Season 5 that was released at Celebration 6, you see that Thorn is actually surrounded by all kinds of commando droids and super battle droids. And honestly, I don't think Thorn's going to make it out. When he premieres, when we see him in Season 5, he's pretty much probably going to make a final stand. And he's probably not going to get very far, just like many other clones that we've seen previously in the Clone Wars, which is kind of sad. But anyway, that's about all the trivia you need to know about Thorn. But he does feature, he's kind of interesting how the whole front of his helmet is entirely red. And basically, I painted everything. His helmet was pretty much completely white. It had absolutely no design whatsoever. And his visor, I painted gray myself. And as you can see, his wings right there on the top of his helmet there, those are painted by me as well. You might have also noticed by now that Thorn features a brand new Clone Army Customs minigun, and I finally managed to get my hands on one of these, and I definitely think it's pretty awesome, especially how the barrel rotates. It's just an overall very posable weapon, and definitely pretty cool. But as you can see, his arms are painted by me as well. His shoulder plates are painted in red, and there's the other shoulder plate. But anyway, you can see the red stripes painted in halfway through there. That is the same on both sides. Basically, the arms aren't really that much different from each other, besides the fact that this arm here has an antenna sealed onto it to make it accurate, as you can see. But as you can see down on his legs there, his legs were actually printed legs that I painted red. And basically, if you don't, I'm not sure if any of you would remember, but JPO97 Studios and Dutch Micro, they put together basically printed Clone Trooper legs, and I basically had an extra pair of those, and I painted all the red around it, because really that was all that's needed, and I definitely think it looks pretty good. And then you can see the red does not continue to the back, but if you pick up the variant of Thorn that I have posted on my eBay right now, the red does continue to the back. But as you can see, his waist cape is basically a Lego waist cape, and it's a Lego ARC Trooper waist cape that I painted the red stripe onto, and I definitely think it turned out pretty nice. And yeah, as you can see, let me give you a good look at the front of his helmet there. His helmet does feature basically all the necessary details that we see on Thorn, including the vents on the sides, the breathers, basically all the necessary details that I painted on that would really capture Thorn's likeness. And yeah, so as you can see, his torso, let me give you a good look at that by moving his minigun. His torso is basically pretty basic. Move that down. There we go. His torso is pretty basic. Basically, his chest plate, his chest plates are painted in red, and his belt is also painted in red. And then the antenna on his visor is glued on, along with some back painting back there. You can see I painted the back in gray and black, filled that in and made it look, pretty much better. And yeah, really not much else to go over with Thorn. And if you do want to pick up your own Thorn, be sure to check it out on my eBay. There is only one available, and it's not something I do very often, like I said before, so I'll definitely check it out if you're interested. And here he is, by the way. I have found the definition of a clone. I've actually managed to clone one of my customs. That is something I don't do very often. But I did it! Yeah! So that about does it for these two clone troopers that will soon find their way into Star Wars: The Clone Wars when it premieres when Season 5 premieres on September 29th. They may not necessarily be on the first episode of Season 5. We'll definitely see them in Season 5, and I'm definitely looking forward to seeing how they appear. And by the way, these figures are entirely posable, basically in every way. Their legs are completely posable, and they're not, statues. It's not like they can't be posed. They're fully posable figures. There's something I noticed that I don't really go over a whole lot in my showcases anymore, is how posable these figures are, but they are fully posable, and that does include Thorn as well. He is entirely posable himself. And one last time, guys, if you want to pick up your own Commander Thorn, be sure to check out the link below, and, go for it. But anyway, another thing, if you're watching this video a few months from now, then Thorn is probably long gone. But anyway, I'm definitely pleased with how these figures turned out. Hope you guys are too, and if you do think they turned out pretty awesome, do leave this video a like and comment on what you think of them, because I do read through the comments, and I'd love to hear you guys' opinions. But anyway, that about does it, finally, for this showcase on these two awesome minifigures, and I will see you guys later. Alright.
Bye!